I'm sure TJ doesn't need any introduction because we all know her very well and fondly by now.
Hi guys, good to see you.
And the theme today is summer movies. So over to you, TJ.
Oh, well, thanks, Janet. Oh my goodness, summer movies. Well, you know, what I thought I'd do is start by giving a little bit of a heads up of a couple of things that are coming out this summer on the big screen now that it's safe to go back into the movie theaters. And what kind of talk about summertime movies would be remiss if there wasn't an actual movie coming out called Summertime, but by director Carlos Lopez Estrada, who directed Blind Spotting. And this opens in theaters on July 9th. It's a film that I saw at the Seattle Film Festival a couple of months ago. Over the course of a hot summer day in Los Angeles, the lives of 25 young Angelinos intersect. A skating guitarist, a tagger, two wannabe rappers, an exasperated fast food worker, a limo driver. They all weave in and out of each other's stories. And through poetry, mind you, which is not my favorite medium, but this is pretty remarkable, and through song, these young people in their 20s express life and love and heartache and family and home and fear. And one of them just wants to find a good cheeseburger. So the result is really deeply touching. It's a tapestry that celebrates the diversity and cultural richness of Los Angeles, while at the same time exploring the hopes and fears of a generation heading into an uncertain adulthood. And I feel a little better about the future with these talented, unknown young people who are so able to express themselves. I had a great time. And I kind of wonder, Reed, you were talking about In the Heights. And, you know, I kind of wonder if these two might be similar in flavor and exuberance. I'll
have to go see it to tell you.
And I'll go see yours. I'll go see In the Heights and we'll compare notes afterwards.
Yeah, I would say it's a great kickoff to the summer movies. It's about New York in the heat and the blackout, and everybody surviving and keeping their, well, sort of surviving and suffering in the midst of being Latino in Harlem, or in Washington Heights, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And it's just an amazing tour de force of music. As I said to you before we got started, it's really over the top, but I think maybe many great musicals are.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Just I'm thinking of West Side Story, right?
Yeah, and the musical styles of In the Heights are all over the map. I don't know if anybody else here has had a chance to watch it, but Carolyn has.
Do you like it? Did you like it, Carolyn? Okay, cool.
You've got rap. You've got sort of Cole Porter-y influences, some sweet songs, a lot of obviously Latino flavored music, a lot of salsa. It's great. It's no matter what kind of music you like, you'll find a part of it.
It's in there. Nice.
I thought, Reed, that they had written some music, especially for the movies, as opposed to the stage version. They'd added some music for the movie.
I know they changed the some of the influences. My understanding, though I did not go to see In the Heights, the musical. My understanding is they did re-emphasize aspects about the Dreamers and their plight in America, which was not part of the original musical as much. I thought they did it it flowed into the story just fine. And they may have changed some music. I know Lin-Manuel shows up a couple times as a minor character.
Cool. All right. Well, that's two good summer movies.
That's a great movie, though. It is a great movie.
Oh,
They didn't change any of the music, though. I saw the original on a Seattle Rep.
Well, another movie I wanted to recommend, it opens in theaters on July 16th. It's going to air on CNN and stream on HBO Max later this year. And this is a documentary called Roadrunner. It's a documentary about Anthony Bourdain, directed by Morgan Neville, who also did the Mr. Rogers, Won't You Be My Neighbor documentary. And she also did 20 Feet from Stardom. And so her creds are huge. And this movie is pretty special. I saw it at the Tribeca Film Festival. Entertainment Weekly describes Roadrunner as a raw, illuminating portrait of a man whose passions ranged as far and wide as his passport carried him, but could also lead to dangerous extremes. And one reviewer called it an intensely painful documentary, one closer to the center of a raw, thoroughly unhealed, and yet very public wound than I think I've ever seen before. And that's not wrong. I mean, I felt the same way. I was really moved and challenged at the end of the documentary. It was a treat to see one more time Tony doing what he loved, exploring, eating, cooking, pontificating in his irreverent, humorous way. And it was a chance to share the surprise and grief of his suicide with the people who really knew and loved him. Although I think we all loved him. He was just, what a force of nature he was. And his insights were pretty spectacular. So I highly recommend the movie. It was really special, called Roadrunner. And you probably have heard about Rita Moreno's documentary, Just a Girl Who Decided to Go for It. It's a very revealing documentary about the Hollywood actress Rita Moreno, as told in her own vibrant words. She was just interviewed by Terry Gross in the last week or two. The film's going to get a theatrical release, I think, but it'll definitely be seen in the American Masters series on PBS. I mean, this woman at the age of 89, almost 90, is positively indomitable. And yet she has some harrowing stories to tell about Hollywood, about growing up in Puerto Rico, and how her mother left Rita's brother behind when she moved Rita to New York. Stories about racism, sexism, and yet she's still singing and dancing, and she'll tell anything about her life. She tells a story about her boyfriend at the time, Marlon Brando, that is so exquisitely told, I won't even share it with you here. You have to see it. And she talks about the lessons she's learned from all this. You know, she's a force of nature and just a joy to spend 90 minutes with. A girl who decided to go for it. And then here's one I have not seen, but I want to see it, so I'm sharing it with you in case it comes to the theater. It's, you know, Steven Soderbergh retired, but he made this movie called No Sudden Move after retirement. It's a caper gone awry. It stars Benicio del Toro and Don Cheadle, two petty criminals in 1954 Detroit who are hired to do the simple job of babysitting the family of a GM executive while he goes to fetch a piece of paper from his office. Things go awry, as they always do in capers, and suddenly you have enforcers coming on the scene, Brendan Fraser, crime bosses, Ray Liotta and Bill Duke, cops, John Hamm, and wives and girlfriends, all getting involved in the mix. And the critics agree that the cast delivers splendidly, and that the dialogue sizzles. But there are opinions that are differing on the final 10 minutes of the film. So it streams July 1st on HBO Max. And I'm hoping this just has to come to the theaters. I'd love to see this on the big screen. So, and then here's a little film that was at the Tribeca Film Festival, directed by a local, okay? It's called Clay Dreams, one word, the documentary about claymation wizard Will Vinton. Remember him from the 80s and 90s? I mean, he's done, you know, his big thing was the California Raisins, claymation for the California Raisin Board. Portland-based Will Vinton is known as the father of claymation, and he revolutionized the animation business during the 80s and 90s. But after 30 years of being the unheralded king of clay, his carefully sculpted American dream came crumbling down. There are interviews with the Oscar-winning and Emmy-winning Will Vinton, interviews with his close collaborators. It's rich with nostalgia and anchored by a treasure trove of clips from his life's work. The filmmaker is Mark Evans, M-A-R-Q, Mark Evans from Bremerton. And he befriended Will, and Will knew he was making this documentary. He brings to life the battle between art and commerce, while inviting us to fall in love with this charismatic man. Will Vinton died here, about 5-6 years ago. Maybe 2017. Yeah, about 4 years ago. And he actually gets film footage of the arbitration between Will Vinton and, the name just escaped me. Who owns Nike shoes? Who's that billionaire? Anyway.
It's Phil. Phil's the Nike guy.
That's it. Yes, that's it. Yes. Okay.
Phil what?
And Mark gets this footage of these two. Well, one's a power hitter of billionaire proportions, and Will Vinton, who is the master of art, inside this arbitration room. You know, Phil ended up seizing Will Vinton's company, and Will Vinton walked away with nothing, while Phil gave the company to his son, Phil's son, to play with. So it's a interesting documentary, and so hopefully, maybe if it doesn't get a theatrical release, or if Jeff Bryan doesn't end up showing it in the theaters anywhere, I'll bring it to BEMA. That would be a nice piece for BEMA. Yeah. And seeing those old clips of some of his shorts and his commercial work was really great fun.
I'm a UO alum. That disappoints me.
What's that?
I'm a University of Oregon alum. That just disappoints me about Nike guy.
Oh, doesn't it though? Yeah. Yeah, me too, Christina. Yeah, I'm with your girlfriend. Yeah.
TJ, couldn't you have a Mark Evans festival at BEMA?
Well, let's see. He's done one other film.
Okay.
And also, you know, anytime somebody brings up the F word, film festivals,
yes,
and doing one, it just terrifies me. They are so much work, and they're so expensive to put on. But
well, we could just show the movie.
There we go. Yes, yes.
The senior center, you know, we could. We have movie nights at the senior center.
Reed Price, you'd be the man to talk to.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Here I am. I put in the other documentary. It's called The Glamour and the Squalor, and there's a link to that in the chat. Yeah. And there's also a link to the Kitsap Sun article about Mark Evans. So if you want to read up a little bit more about this documentary, Clay Dream, there you go.
Rita, I have that shirt and I love it. I would wear that thing anywhere.
Well, I love this, and it's my Halloween shirt. And I just wear it on Halloween, and then I just wear black leggings. And I found the coolest mask that almost is mostly white with some black that kind of goes with this. So that, but it's so cool to wear in this hot day.
It is.
That's what I'm wearing. But yes, I love this thing.
Me too. It makes me smile every time I see it.
Exactly.
Thank you for making me smile.
Well, you're welcome.
Well, you know, summertime movies are like taking a book to the beach. You want something entertaining, but not too heavy in subject matter. It's fun in the sun, but you don't want to work too hard when venturing into the dark to see the light at your local movie theater. And many times after a day of weeding, mulching, gardening, cooking, cleaning, I'm too weary to put my mind toward a new movie. So on those evenings, I like to indulge in revisiting a beloved classic, and preferably a little gem with lots of humor. And one that pops into my mind every time when I say that is Mr. Yolos Holiday, right? Jacques Tati, any one of his films is, Playtime is always a treat. And he's just so unassuming and charming. And there's very little dialogue, if any, in his films, but they're not silent films. And so if you want a nice little bon mot at the end of the day that'll make you happy that you sat down and watched TV, start with Mr. Yolos Holiday. But what I did for today is, oh, Jacques Tati, there we go. Oh, yeah. Reed, you're so clever. How do you do this stuff? He's a wizard in himself.
It's been a long COVID. I've learned.
Good for you. Well, what I did is I teamed up with my favorite movie reviewer, and his book, Never Coming to a Theater Near You. Yeah. And between the two of us, here are our recommendations for a good summer movie. All right. Now these are oldies but goodies. And anyway, we're starting with State and Maine, which I'm sure you've seen. It bears a repeating. This thing holds up so well. You know, where a big budget movie crew descends upon a quaint New England village while sowing a bumper crop of corruption, vanity, and greed. You know, David Mamet at his best. It stars Philip Seymour Hoffman, William H. Macy, Ricky Jay, Julia Stiles, Rebecca Pidgeon, who's married to David Mamet, Alec Baldwin, Sarah Jessica Parker, David Paymer, Patty Lupone. I mean, everybody in Hollywood is in this thing. And it is just so delightfully entertaining. Let me do this. Yeah. Nice. Oh, and there's an uncredited John Krasinski from The Office who plays the judge's assistant. So that's always fun to be spotting new talent, and you know where they're going when, yeah, where they're going to become to be. So that's most enjoyable. The Station Agent from 2003 is one of my all-time favorites. Written and directed by Tom McCarthy, who would go on to direct The Visitor and 2015's movie Spotlight. Mm-hmm. Let's see, the Station Agent is his feature film, although he had written many times for television. The film stars Peter Dinklage, who carries this film with such quiet dignity. Bobby Cannavale, whose larger-than-life personality never manages to conceal his crushing loneliness. and Patricia Clarkson, a fragile scatterbrain who's harboring a world of pain. And these three characters and trains. Trains are the best part. I love trains. It co-stars Richard Klein, Michelle Williams, and a wonderful 10-year-old Raven Goodwin, who has blossomed into a lovely actress who has a very busy TV career. And the premise of the film, when his only friend dies, a man who's born with dwarfism moves to rural New Jersey to live a life of solitude, only to meet a chatty hot dog vendor and a woman dealing with her own personal issues. Very simple and so human. And another one, and I just recently rented this when I heard that Charles Grodin died. Midnight Run, 1988. You know, it holds up beautifully. He's Charles Grodin. He's gloriously deadpan here in Midnight Run, and it's the usually stoic, humorless Robert De Niro who's the wisecracker in the film. It was directed by Martin Brest, who also directed Beverly Hills Cop and my not so favorite Scent of a Woman, and co-stars Yaphet Kotto, Dennis Farina, and Joey Pants, Joe Pantoliano, whom you don't see much anymore. It's not that he's not working, it's just that there's nothing that's quite risen. Well, and then there's COVID. I mean, who knows what's gonna catch the imagination of audiences when there aren't movie theaters. Anyway, it was written by our friend George Gallo, who also wrote Wise Guys, Bad Boys, and we met George Gallo at the Linwood Theater when we hosted his little film called Local Color at the Linwood Theater. Did you see that, Janet? You must have, Sheila. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a while ago.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yes. He, his film Local Color, here he had made Bad Boys that made the studios a bunch of money. Wise Guys, a bunch of money. Wrote Midnight Run, bunch of money. And he wanted to make a little human story about a portion of his life, his adolescence, and this person he met as he was growing up who guided him into becoming who he was. And he wanted to honor that. And he wanted to make this movie, and none of the studios would touch it. It's like, it's one of those little films. And so George produced it, directed it, wrote it himself. And he wanted to get the word out. And when I was approached through an agent about showing it, and the fact that George would come and speak at the theater, I jumped at the chance. And we had, he's a New York, LA boy, right? And I remember Friday night, we had a huge audience. Saturday night, not so much, but Saturday night, it wasn't raining and it was gorgeous. It was one of those gorgeous days, right? And it's about 5 minutes till showtime, and I'm outside the Linwood with him, and he's going, "Where is everybody?" And I said, "Well, George, look at it. It's gorgeous out here." He goes, "Yeah, so when you're from LA, every day is gorgeous." So that was kind of fun, having George. And when he was here, he did two. He's also a painter, and he did two paintings to raise for a local charity here. And you could stand around with a glass of wine at Wes and Andrea's gallery in town and watch him paint. It was during the Friday night art walk. And then Saturday he did a painting at Linwood, and you could watch him paint. And one of those paintings is hanging in my dining room. It's just so nice to have a piece of Hollywood and one of George's paintings. Okay, so I digress. I apologize. Here's a lovely film I can recommend. Winged Migration. Do you remember this one? A visually stunning documentary about the migratory patterns of birds across all 7 continents. The movie was shot over the course of 4 years using in-flight cameras, where you are flying alongside of these magnificent creatures. The birds traverse every kind of weather and landscape. They cover vast distances in a flight for survival. And the film was shot using ultralights, paragliders, hot air balloons, remote controlled robots, as well as from trucks, motorboats, motorcycles, and even a French Navy warship. So this family-friendly film thrills us as we fly alongside our avian travelers, that educates us while honoring them every step of the way. If you've never seen Winged Migration, treat yourself. You know, I'll tell you what gets me every time is this little old hunched lady in a babushka in the outreaches of Poland or Romania somewhere. And she feeds the birds. And she knows that she's like one of the few feeding places between the equator and the pole where these birds are heading. And so she feeds them on the way, and she feeds them on the way back. But she's, you know, she's this little old lady, you know, and I can't help but think, you know, what when she dies, what's going to happen to the migrating bats? And what a special gift she is to these birds. Anyway, it's the little old lady who also sticks with me in that film. And okay, so let's go from something very lovely and non-threatening to Sexy Beast from 2001. It's the story of one man's dangerous journey from peace of mind to paranoid panic when he's lured out of an idyllic retirement and back into gangster life. It stars Ray Winstone and Ben Kingsley. Okay. Also co-stars Ian McShane and James Fox. This film has black humor and style to burn. From the opening segment where the camera is looking at Ray Winstone in a Speedo, laying on a lounge chair, baking in the sun. And this is the feature debut of director Jonathan Glazer. The performances sizzle, especially Kingsley, who makes his character Don Logan terrifying enough to forever banish all thoughts of Gandhi from your mind. This careening sociopath is every bit as dangerous to his friends as to his foes. I'm telling you, he terrified me. And you know, I'm a pretty cool cookie, but I was scared to death of him. The counterbalance is Winstone's charismatic performance, upon which we hang our emotions, as he's desperate to hold on to the good life, but he's not sure if he has the strength to manage it. So it's pretty wonderful. Of all of the films I'm recommending, this is probably the heaviest one. But to see Kingsley's performance is to witness a train wreck, a typhoon, the end of the world. Anyway, he's pretty amazing. And let's see. Another one that I come back to once a decade is Baz Luhrmann's directorial debut, Strictly Ballroom. I just love this piece. And all of these films I'm recommending are on Vudu or Amazon Prime. So let's see. And so you can easily find it. It's a very Australian movie with lots of humor and dancing and audacity and ultimately hope. Scott Hastings, played by Paul Mercurio, is a champion ballroom dancer but to the chagrin of the Australian ballroom dance community, he believes in dancing his own steps. And Fran, played by Tara Maurice, is a beginning dancer who has the audacity to ask to be Scott's partner after his unorthodox style causes his regular partner to dance out of his life. So together, these two misfits try to win the Australian Pan-Pacific Championships and show the Ballroom Confederation that they are wrong when they say there are no new steps. It's just flashy, funny, just irreverent, wonderful. Why is the word irreverent in almost every single one of these recommendations? Let's see. Anyway, so I highly recommend that. And then that made me think of the other Australian movie called The Dish. Has anyone seen this? Sheila, I bet you have, right? Yeah. It stars Sam Neill and Patrick Warburton, based on the true story of the 1969 space mission that marked humankind's first steps on the moon. And we almost didn't get to see it. We were that close to not getting to witness this major event in humankind's life. It's a historical comedy drama that tells the story of the Parkes Observatory role in relaying the live feed from the moon during the Apollo 11 mission. It's a warm, wry, original Australian take on a climactic moment usually thought of as all-American, but it's American-Australian effort. So that's a wonderful piece. It's one of Chuck's and my favorites. And I also thought it would be fun to revisit Waking Ned Divine. Oh my gosh. I mean, from the land where fairy tales were born comes a disarmingly original fable about the true meaning of fortune. But it's the droll old souls of the supporting cast who make this roguish, sly comedy so engaging. The story, someone in this small Irish town of 52 inhabitants has won the Irish National Lottery to the tune of £6.8 million. And it's Jockey O'Shea who intends to find out who it is so he can befriend them in the good hopes of obtaining some of that easy money. So just what characters, only the Irish. So what are some recommendations that you guys would have? What's your perfect favorite idea of a summer movie?
This isn't a movie, but it's a documentary we watched last night. It was called Quincy, by Quincy Jones. It was very nicely done. And it's about 2 hours long, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. And it went in depth into Quincy Jones' life and what a creative genius he is.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that on Netflix?
I think it's on Netflix. And then there was a whole list of African-American movies listed last night, and it's in conjunction with Black Lives Matters month, I think. And I just happened to see that one and clicked on it, and it was
Yeah, I watched it. It's very, very enriching. What a great life story, and how many people he's helped in the business.
Yes.
And great music.
Great music.
Yeah, speaking of music, I'm looking forward to, I saw the trailer last night for Summer of Soul, which is the 1969 other music festival. There was one up in New York that got some coverage, somewhere Bethel or Woodstock or anyway, but this one happened in Harlem over a series of weekends, and never was that footage ever shown until the musician Questlove, who founded the Roots, I think, has produced this show, which includes, you know, the Fifth Dimension, little Stevie Wonder when he was little Stevie Wonder. Who else? Gladys Knight and the Pips, Nina Simone. I mean, I think it's just like this all-star cast, and the music is probably just going to be tremendous. And again, in the summer, and it's coming out, I think, next week in some places, maybe not here.
Oh, I hope here.
Yeah.
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 Sheila, what have you seen lately? Sheila.
I've been seeing, it's been sort of in and out, and not sure exactly what I've been seeing. I'm just watching Songbird right now, which I don't think I would recommend necessarily. I'd heard it was really quite it was a good film. It's a terror film about being quarantined and locked out. So it's a fairly new film. But it's I'm glad I'm watching it. You know, it's a love story. In the Heights, I just so thoroughly enjoyed that. Got to see Hamilton again for the 15 millionth time. I will watch that anytime you ask me to do it. I just adore that film. It makes me happy. I've been watching The Mariners mostly. Surprise!
Tonight,
what can I say? That's where I am, and by the time I get home at midnight, I'm not watching any movies. I'm just
tonight at the senior center, we're going to show Yesterday.
Oh yes.
Oh, what a charming movie, Reed.
Very charming.
Yeah.
Well, everybody come for that. And it's free and free popcorn.
The music doesn't exist, but he comes up with all these songs.
What time tonight, Reed?
7 o'clock. We're starting on the second and fourth Fridays. We're resuming movie night. You need to be vaccinated and sign in, but that's the only cost of admission. And vaccines are free.
Yeah, nice.
It's a lovely film. Yeah, yeah. Especially if you like the Beatles.
And who doesn't?
I don't know anybody, but
right. A rose by any other name is still a rose would be the theme of that movie.
Well, Carolyn, you're a big movie watcher. What are you watching?
I've been doing old stuff, catching up. I caught up and did Divine Secrets since I loved the book so much, and went back and did that. And after I did Cruella.
Oh, did you enjoy it?
It's the darkest thing that ever had a curly D on it, I'll tell you. There's no way a kid should ever see that. But it was, watching the Emma's True Scenery was pretty fun. The effects and the costumes are unbelievable. It's long, and I was alone, which is, I like being alone in there. So that it was fun. But yeah, I'm with Sheila. I did In the Heights, and I may have to go back and do Hamilton again because I could do it every week too. You know, I'm doing catching up old stuff. I'll go on a jag. I was going to do a bunch of Tom Hulce stuff, and I ran up against, I couldn't get Echo Park anywhere. So I don't know what to do with that. I've done some old John Wayne stuff just because I think it's interesting to see how far we've come and who we have as a role model. So nothing that I wouldn't write home about. That has, what was the, I had to take a phone call. What was the first movie you talked about before In the Heights today?
Oh, it was one I talked about as we signed off last time, called Summertime.
Yeah.
About the 20-something poets down in LA interacting. And it's exuberant and colorful and fun. And yeah, to me, it gave me great hope about the upcoming generation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking for through my history of Netflix stuff, because that's primarily what I've done, because I've not gotten to the theater. Sorry about that, but I haven't gotten to the theater. I saw the Moratorium, which I thought was really quite a piece of work. I saw First Cow, which was fun.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, that director, Kelly Reichardt, her films, every single one of her films is about somebody whom is on a collision course with destiny, and there's nothing you can do to save them.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got on here A Hidden Life. What was that about? Remember? I love that.
Again?
A Hidden Life.
Oh,
Oh my God, that one I get 5 stars for. It's about, oh my gosh, yes. It's quite a long film, almost 3 hours long. Takes place in Austria. The husband of the family ends up having to leave because Hitler wants him to fight. So the family is left behind, the mother and the 2 girls. And just the scenery, of course, is extraordinary, but it's a real life drama. It actually did happen. And it's fantastic. It came out in 2019. And it's called A Hidden Life.
Terrence Malick. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Terrence Malick. Exactly.
And Schoenertz and all kinds of good people.
Oh, hey, Sheila, that recommendation reminded me of one of my favorite films from the Seattle Film Festival. It was called When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit. And you can rent this if you go to sif.net. You can watch it. I didn't want to see it, but so many of the my fellow full serious pass holders were, claiming it to high heaven, and I expected it to be a little twee like Wes Anderson films, but yeah, When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit, but it wasn't. It's the situation of this Jewish family fleeing Germany as Hitler is rising, as seen through the eyes of this 9 or 10-year-old girl. And they flee to one country, and by the movie's end, they're about to flee to France. And the title comes from the fact that this little girl is only allowed to take one stuffed animal, and it's a choice between these 2 animals, and she chose wrong, as she comes to discover, and she misses her pink rabbit. And so the movie's called When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit, and it's based on this woman's. This actually happened. She was that little girl at the time. Yeah, Reed.
I've got one that I thought of while we were talking about the music. This is called Jazz on a Summer's Day, which is again a concert movie.
Wow.
It's old, but I think it's available to rent, and it's basically the Newport Jazz Festival one year, with people like Louis Armstrong, Anita O'Day, Thelonious Monk. And of course there are these great pictures of Newport, Rhode Island, and so it would be like a summer picnic.
Nice.
I recommend it.
That'd be a great movie at the end of the day with great music. Yeah, good call, Reed. Thanks. Quincy Summer Soldier. I take it, Reed, you like music a little bit.
Well, I guess you figured me out.
So I haven't been watching very many movies. I want to see The Heights because I love musicals and music, and I want to see the jazz one too. I've never seen that about Newport. But I've been watching, I watched the 4th season of Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, and it was intense but satisfying. I don't know if you're familiar with The Handmaid's Tale, but it's gone. The fourth season went way beyond the Margaret Atwood novel, The Handmaid's Tale and the Testaments. So, but she's involved in making this series, which is on Hulu, I believe. Yeah, Hulu. So, I recommend it highly. Elizabeth Moss, she's such a great actress. So
Wow.
I think I'm the only one that's been watching it. So anyhow.
Yeah, that just seems to me to be such a heavy subject matter after the political climate we had been through and the pandemic. So my hat's off to you, Karen.
Yeah. But like I said, it's very satisfying to see what happens at the end of season 4.
Nice. I have to tell you, that book, I read that in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or early 90s. And I never read another piece of science fiction for 30 years. That book scared me so bad with the whole Christian right thing that, you know, and then you had Afghanistan revert to an authoritarian regime, and women were relegated back into robes, and you know, I mean, it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm not doing any more science fiction. It's too spot on.
Well, as Margaret Atwood said, everything she wrote in the book, it really happened in human history. None of it is, that, you know, we have to be aware and not let it happen again.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there you go. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Great. Rita, what are you watching these days?
Not much. I'm out in my yard usually from early in the morning until late at night. I've got some projects I want to get finished up. And so that's usually by the time I get in, I always think maybe I'll watch something, and then I kind of fall asleep. And so that's it. But I do, there was a shows on called, just on regular TV, called Back to the Country. And it's kind of like, it's like an HGTV thing, but it's about Scotland and England and Wales, where people are moving from the city, like out of London, and they want to move to a quieter place. So some of the beautiful little spots that, you know, an agent, a real estate agent, finds them three different things to choose from, 3 different homes to choose from. But the homes, because they're so old and just so cool, and just the little villages and stuff, it kind of gives you kind of a sense of travel at the same time, and you get to see some of those places. And I really, really enjoyed that a lot.
It sounds delightful. What's it called again? What's the series?
It's Escape to the Country.
Oh, Escape to the Country.
Yeah, and it's fabulous. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about just chilling. I mean, you just chill out. It's just calming. After I watch Handmaid's Tale, I watch that. Calm down. Anyhow, but it is. I have to agree with you, Rita. It is excellent.
On what? On what, Karen?
It's on Well, no,
it's not on HGTV.
No. It's on like BBC or the Canadian Broadcasting. I have it recording.
Oh,
so I can't remember.
IDAB or IDAB or Dabble, DABL.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's Dabble, because I saw that and I go, and I just accidentally found it. But it's really, like I said, it kind of lets you travel and see some of the history of the country, and they're really good about that. And just seeing something that's so different from what we have here in the US.
Yes.
That I just find it really interesting. And then see how their gardens and stuff are. I'm always interested in that.
Yes.
Yeah. Dabble. Yes. They've got quite a few nice things.
I saw a film last night, which was, I can't even tell you the name of it, except it was National Geographic, and was with Ramsey, the cook, the chef. Ramsey.
Gordon Ramsay.
Thank you. Anyway, he goes to different places, and this one happened to he was in Peru, And I have been there and have been to where in the Sacred Valley where he was. So I thought, oh, that'll be interesting to see. It was fascinating because he did all the different foods and stuff that they eat there. And it was really some of which I had an opportunity, yes, Uncharted. That's the one. Thank you, Reed. Even the guinea pigs, which they had, which is really, really rather interesting. Good to eat, by the way.
I went back to the movie theater, and I went to see The Father with Anthony Hopkins, and it was, and I went with some girlfriends who have parents or know people who've got Alzheimer's, and so it wasn't a happy summer film. But boy, it explained to me a lot of what people must go through if they have Alzheimer's. And I went to see The Truffle Hunters, which was needed a little. It was about the old gentlemen and their dogs who look for truffles in northern Italy, and how money grubbing it has got to be. And it needed a little editing. The film was slightly too long. They could have edited back. But talking about claymation, my favorite claymation film was A Chicken Run. I just love that film. So that's my suggestion for happy summer movie is go and see if we can find Chicken Run. Because
that's Nick Parks from Wallace and Gromit fame. Yes.
And if you can get a hold of the Wallace and Gromit, the original Wallace and Gromit too, the 3 or 4 of them. Yes. I mean, I wet my pants. I would laugh on those things.
It's the wrong trousers.
Oh, they're wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my suggestion of something that's fun. So
hot dog. Well, thank you guys. This was great fun. Janet, I had a thought for next time if we want to get together and talk movies another time. I think it would be kind of fun if we told stories about movie experiences we had, like maybe the first time we ever went into the theater and saw a movie, and what age were we, and what did you see, and how did that affect you? Or and so if we want to just tell movie stories next time, that would be great fun.
Oh, that would be great fun too.
I'd like to do that.